NBA Hall of Fame 2024. We saw the candidates. They announced candidates who will be on the ballot for next year. So you have this list here going over some of the players that will be on next year's ballot.
Yeah, I thought we had a great year this year. I think Dirk definitely deserving. Awesome to see him get in the Hall of Fame. Dwayne Wade, we all know what he's about, and Tony Parker. Just want to say, very underrated player. A lot of people
Absolutely.
forget about Tony Parker, but I remember seeing him when I was younger, constantly out battle Chris Paul, and I felt
Hmm.
like he was always a big game performer. Had that little floater in the lane, had
Hmm.
a nice jumper. Him and Tim Duncan, Ginobili, great trio with that insertable supporting cast. So shout out to Tony Parker, Dirk, and CP3. 2024 though, not as great a class here. So the no doubt surefire Hall of Famer I feel like is going to be Vince Carter.
Yes, of course.
Um, Thoughts on Vince Carter? Iconic dunker, one of the oldest players that play.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, I feel like you can't fully talk about the 2000s without him.
No,
We're talking about 2000s icon, and then even as his career began to wind down, was a really, really, really solid role player for teams like the Mavericks, the Hawks. He
the
played for the
Grizzlies.
Kings, the Grizzlies. Played for a million teams. Played for a million years. It felt like. But he's a no doubt Hall of Famer. The stats back it up. The way how great he was from about 1998 all the way until I would say about 2011. Really, really solid player. So absolutely a Hall of Famer.
Absolutely a Hall of Famer. Then this list kind of gets dicey, as Brendan Schaub says. We have Joakim Noah, and it says Noah was well renowned for being one of the best defenders at the center position and having one of the ugliest shots in NBA history in his only 13 seasons in the NBA. Sorry, this is going to be a it's not even like a Philip Rivers or like Eli Manning thing. It's kind of just like you were a good defender, but in your era, you kind of got forgotten after that you left the Bulls.
Yeah, I feel like if he had a longer peak, it'd be one thing. But I feel like his peak was about 3 or 4 seasons, and then it kind of moved on. He went to the Knicks and bounced around a little bit. But Hall of Famer, I feel like he's a borderliner, but not to the point where like I can fully say he should absolutely be in the Hall of Fame. So I'm gonna say no here.
Yeah, and I think the problem with some people have with these Hall of Fame things is now if you're really good, you're a Hall of Famer instead of being like having to be someone like a Manning or someone like a Steph Curry or LeBron. You can like kind of slip in some of these like more really good role players or really good average guys, which is brings up Jamal Crawford, who's a 3 time six man of the year, but does being a really good bench player really qualify you for the Hall of Fame?
Ah, see this is where it gets tough because I think Jamal Crawford should be in the Hall of Fame just because I feel like he's got some of the best moves of all time. And there is something about like a Robert Ory. I think Robert Ory is a Hall of Famer. Someone like an Andre Iguodala is a Hall of Famer just based on their legacy. The problem with Jamal Crawford is he never won a title. I would still put him in the Hall of Fame. I do think I'm biased here though because I
Yeah.
loved Jamal Crawford growing up and he was just amazing. But he's one of those guys where maybe like it's just NBA Twitter can really appreciate him, and NBA Instagram, you see the highlights. He's more of a highlight guy, kind of similar. He also kind of reminds me to some extent of White Chocolate, Jason Williams.
Yeah.
Jason Williams was a really solid player, but if you look at his stats don't really back up Hall of Fame level. So that's why he's probably not going to make the Hall of Fame.
Yeah. And for me, it's like when I think Hall of Fame, I'm like Jordan, Magic, Kareem. I'm not really going to, well, should Tony Kukoc be in the Hall of Fame? It's like, probably not. And it's like unfortunate because he's a great player. Love him on the Clippers, but I just don't really think that's what the Hall of Fame should be for. Um, and then we have Kyle Korver, one of the greatest 3 point shooting percentages at 42.9%. And then he has made a total of 2,450 career 3 pointers, ranks fifth in NBA history.
Yeah. See, he's a specialist. So he might be different than
Yeah.
some of these other guys we're talking about. Talking about all-time great three-point shooters, talking about like Reggie Miller, Steph, Clay, Harden,
Ray.
Dame,
Yeah.
Bird, and then Kyle Korver falls into that mix as well. So if they put him into the layer just based on his three-point proficiency, especially when the NBA started to expand and make it more of a 3-point dominant league. Like, I think I can see the vision there.
And then we have good old Marvin Williams, averaged 12 points a game and 5 rebounds his career. 15 NBA seasons. Williams' accomplishments at North Carolina helps boost his resume, winning a NCAA national championship with the Tar Heels in his ACC rookie year in 2005.
So the only person who's going to make it out of the new upcoming class will be Vince Carter.
Yeah.
Vince Carter will probably be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, and then other people eligible here: Larry Frost, Chauncey Billups, Sean
Yeah.
Marion, maybe Amari Stoudemire, and
Mm.
Chauncey Billups. I definitely think Chauncey Billups deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I also agree with Amari Stoudemire because Stoudemire was one of the most dominant big men for a short but solid period of time with the Suns, and then he even was pretty good with the Knicks as well. Talking about an All Star, so I think Amari Stoudemire and Chauncey Billups should be Hall of Famers.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like it's not going to be a great Hall of Fame year, but definitely going to have some iconic players. And that Hall of Fame year is definitely going to be summarized by the dunk and then Chauncey Billups just having his way with Michael and Shaq in the